I'm going to introduce our hosts, Jakayla and Jaden, who are going to lead us in our Black History Assembly. So let's give them a round of applause.
Good morning, students and teachers. Today we gather to celebrate Black History Month, a time to honor the pioneers, poets, and activists who changed the world.
We have packed 30 minutes for you. No time to waste. Let's get this celebration started. Opening our assembly, please welcome 7th grade room 311 singing This Little Light of Mine.
Thank you, room 311. That light certainly is shining bright today.
History isn't just in books, it's in the people who lived it. Let's step back in time with this interview featuring a young trailblazer, Ruby Bridges.
Hello, I'm here today talking with Ruby Bridges. Miss Ruby, can you tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Of course, I'm Ruby and I'll be 7 in September. I have a sister and 2 little brothers. We live in New Orleans.
So you just finished first grade, right?
That's right. It was a little strange. I went to William French school and I was in Miss Henry's class. She was very nice, but I was the only one in the whole class.
Why were you the only one in the whole class?
While in the South, most schools were still segregated. Black kids went to one school, white kids went to a different one. Some people decided they wanted to change that and have integrated schools. So I was the first African American student to go to an all-white school. People weren't very happy about that, so they pulled the kids out of my class and out the whole school. The school was almost empty. It was lonely for a long time, but Miss Henry and I became good friends.
Did the people who weren't happy about the integration do anything else?
Yes, I don't really like talking about it. I didn't really know what was happening. It was a bit of a blur, but I remember that my parents were scared. So scared they were worried I was going to be hit by one of the protesters. They yelled a lot. That's why I had to be with a bodyguard. U.S. Marshals walked me into school every day so I wouldn't get hurt.
Were you ever scared, Ruby?
I was. You wouldn't have been scared too. But it was important to keep going every day, and it got easier over time. Next year, my class will be full of black students and white students. I can't wait. I love making new friends. We could play jump rope or climb trees.
Thanks for talking with us, Ruby. Anything else you'd like to say before we finish?
Separate is never equal, and we all deserve equal opportunities, no matter what we look like or how different we are.
It's time to see what you know. We have our first trivia question.
How old was Ruby Bridges when she famously walked into William Frantz Elementary School in 1960?
She was 6.
That is correct.
The answer is B. Ruby Bridges was only 6 years old when she was escorted by federal marshal to integrate the all-white William Frantz Elementary School in New Orleans.
Let's go to our second trivia question of the morning.
Because of his incredible work leading peaceful protests and fighting for civil rights, Dr. King won every famous award when he was just 35 years old. At the time, he was the youngest man to ever receive it. Which award did Dr. King win? A. The Grammy Awards for Best Speech. B. The Olympic Gold Medal. C. The Nobel Peace Prize. D. The Presidential Medal of Freedom.
C. When Dr. King won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964, he actually donated all of the prize money to the civil rights movement so it could continue helping people. What an amazing leader.
A Dr. Martin Luther King chant. Everyone feel the rhythm.
Moving into the world of Gwendolyn Brooks, the first African American to win a Pulitzer Prize. Here are our fifth graders reading A Song in the Front Yard by Gwendolyn Brooks.
A Song in the Front Yard by Gwendolyn Brooks. I've stayed in the front yard all my life.
I want to peek at the back where it's rough and untended and hungry weed grows.
A girl gets sick of a road.
I want to go in the backyard now, and maybe down the alley to where the charity children play. I want a good time today.
They do some wonderful things.
They have some wonderful fun. My mother sneers, but I say it's fine, how they don't have to go in at 8:45.
My mother, she tells me that Johnny May will grow up to be a bad woman.
That Georgia will be taken to jail sooner or late on account of last winter he sold our back gate.
But I say it's fine. Honest, I do.
And I like to be a bad woman too and wear the brave stockings of night black lace and strut down the streets with paint on my face.
From the front yard to the front of the bus, please welcome my students for a skit featuring an interview with the mother of the civil rights movement, Rosa Parks.
Hello, we are here with Miss Rosa Parks, who has a very interesting story to share with us. First, tell me about yourself.
I'm a seamstress and I live here in Montgomery, Alabama. My husband and I are both very active in the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
What's the National Association of Advanced Colored People?
We call it the NAACP for short. It's an organization that works to make laws better so that people are treated equally.
Tell me about what laws you're trying to change right now.
Well, we are fighting segregation laws. These are laws that say black people and white people have to stay separate. Earlier this week is an example. I was told by the bus driver to give up my seat for a white man. I was told to go sit in the back with the other people of color.
Well, did you move?
I absolutely did not. I was arrested for refusing to give up my seat on the bus. They told me to pay a fine too, but I won't.
I hope that works out for you, Rosa. Buy some good shoes if you're going to do all that walking.
I was planning on it. We'll keep the boycott going until we get the fair treatment we deserve.
A true example of quiet strength. Now, let's see who's been paying attention. Trivia question 3.
What was Rosa Parks' job at the time of the famous 1955 bus boycott? A. A teacher. B. A nurse. C. A seamstress making and fixing clothes. D. A reporter.
Good job, that's correct. Did you know that Rosa Parks worked as a seamstress at a department store in Montgomery, Alabama? She was actually on her way home from a long day of work, making and fixing clothes when she made history.
We now honor one of the most powerful voices in literature, Maya Angelou.
Let's listen to the Anthem of Resilience. Here is a group of sixth graders reading And Still I Rise.
You may write me down in history where your bitter, twisted lies. You may trap me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise.
Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I got oil wells pumping in my living room.
Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise.
Do you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cry?
Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard.
You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air, I'll rise.
Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I've danced like I've got diamonds after meeting on my thighs?
Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise, up from a past that's written in pain.
I rise, I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide.
Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
Our final trivia question of the day. Make it count.
What job did a 16-year-old Maya Angelou fight to get, making her the first black woman to ever have this job in San Francisco? A librarian. B, a baker making fancy cakes. C, a cable car conductor. D, a pilot.
The answer is C. Even though she was only 16, Maya Angelou wouldn't take no for an answer. She sat in the office every day until they finally hired her, making her the very first black female car conductor in San Francisco. Talk about determination.
To lead us into our finale, we have the stand-up poem read by Carmelo Sloss.
Stand up, let's make a difference. Stand up, let's fight resistance. Violence won't fit, we've got to resist, protest, and join hands to assist. Stand up, let's fix the wrong. Stand up, let's make us strong.
Now please welcome our 7th grade trio as they sing and interpret a powerful portion of Stand Up by Cynthia Eriva.
That's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, do you hear freedom calling? Calling me to answer, gonna keep on keeping on. I could feel it in my bones. Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving towards that separating line.
To close our assembly, we look to the future. Please welcome 6th grader Mary Cruz reading her own original self-authored poem.
The Broken Loop by Mary Cruz Reyes. The posters show legends, faces framed in gold, but we're living out the same chapters we thought we were already told. We celebrate the Sentinel, the history we've won, while the same old cycle starts again before the day is done. From the slave catcher's shadow to the ice fan in the neighborhood lane, it's the same old heavy iron, just a different kind of chain. Harriet walked through the woods at night to find a sanctuary door, But today, that sanctuary isn't safe for us anymore. They're raiding homes in Chicago and Minneapolis, ICE making innocent and honest people pay a heavy price. This wasn't the promised land that Martin saw ahead, where alien is the label they use instead of bread. Ruby Bridges walked through the hate just to sit inside class. Now, a child looks out a window, watching white vans slowly pass. They're ripping mothers away from the hearth and fathers away from the field. Rosa Parks didn't keep her seat so we could stand and watch their raids or see the progress they built vanish in the shades. It's the same old fear for neighbors, the same old yous and them, using laws as jagged scissors just to cut the family's hem. If Tubman saw the borders now, the dogs and the despair, she'd see the same old struggle in the cold and biting air. The dream wasn't meant for some of us, it was meant for every soul, regardless of the land or the home that made them whole. We're repeating the chapters we promised to forget, and the dream they died to give us hasn't been quite realized yet. We need to raise our voices, join our forces, so we march in February, through the slush and through the sleet, to keep their spirits walking on these modern frozen streets.
Wow, thank you, Mary Cruz. Her words remind us that while we honor the giants of the past, like Ruby Bridges and Dr. King, the next chapter of this story belongs to us.
Black History Month is a reminder that one voice, one seat on the bus, or one little light can change the world. It's a reminder that we all have the power to stand up for what's right, even when it's difficult.
Thank you for joining us. Let's carry these voices with us all year long.
Have a great day, everyone.
All right, let's give everybody one more round of applause. Everybody did an amazing job. And thank you so much for being such a good audience.